you shouldn't get into this for the money, because if you think about that, something's gonna happen and you lose it all. You gotta do it because you love it.
Welcome to another edition of the Growth Game Podcast. I'm Paul DeLuca, CEO of Meritus Capital, and we're thrilled to have Eric Garcia here with us today. Eric and I have just started to get to know each other. We're going to be able to have a real enjoyable time getting to know each other more and talk about each other's businesses and growth. So, Eric, thank you so much for coming on board today.
Thank you for having me over here. I know that we connected at the beginning of the year through LinkedIn. You know, we starting up the business, we needed a capital funding. So I've seen that you were active on posting, and it grabs your attention. So we ended up connecting.
Awesome. Yeah, super exciting. It's really exciting to have you on, as a new client. Many times we interview people just in the industry, but it's fun today to actually talk to somebody on your side who made a decision to go with our firm. But super interested to kind of hear about your whole, your story in staffing, what got you going, and we'll talk about some growth ideas that you're employing, and see if we can't have a nice conversation here today on the growth game. So thanks so much for jumping on today, Eric. So Eric, talk to me about your journey. It seems like you've been in staffing for a while, but how did you get in staffing, and how are you there in La Puente? And talk to me about your journey.
I guess we have to backtrack to the last position I had when, before I got into staffing. I was working through temp agencies, select staffing. I had a cousin that used to work there. So we would go to different positions, Toys R Us, random warehouses, kind of just going through the flow of agencies. But at that point, I just saw an agency as like anybody else, right? You go there, get some work. Sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't. I ended up getting hired at one specific warehouse in Chino. At the time being was Nature's Best, which I believe now is Kehi. Well, I was working with them, and we were working some really long hours, 14 to 16 hours, 6 days a week, extremely tired.
Wow.
The one day that you would have off, I pretty much, all I wanted to do was sleep, and then I'd wake up and we're back there again. We did that for almost close to 6 months. And at that time, I thought to myself, there has to be something better, right? There has to be something better. There's no way you have to physically abuse your body that much to make ends meet. At the time, I had a friend. He was working for an agency, and he was an on-site. He'd post videos about stuff he'd be doing, riding around in a golf cart through the warehouse. What is it that you do, right? And that's when he explained to me what an on-site was. He would manage the employees working at a specific client site. So me and him have the same type of personality. I always had a pretty much a bigger personality, still do. So when I told him I was interested in maybe going down that route, he said, okay, well, let me set you up with our HR. You'd be perfect to do what we do. At the time, I knew I could do it, but I didn't really know what it consisted of. I sat with the HR. She interviewed me. She loved my personality. She saw that I had the background in warehousing. I came from a lot of warehouses. So they gave me the first opportunity. I ended up working with Consolidated at the time being. I worked with them, and that's kind of how I started. Worked at an account. I was an on-site.
That's super exciting.
And it's fun. It's we were dealing with an account that was about 150 people. So you're dealing with 150 different personalities. It's a lot. It's not meant for everybody. But I learned so much there, and I realized I like this, right? Helping people in general. At the end of the day, it was just helping people. That's how it kickstarted. Went from there.
That's awesome. That's super exciting. So you started as a temp. I mean, this is the American dream, Eric. I mean, this is what I love about this podcast is we talk about all different kinds of paths to success, but American dream. So you started out as a temp, working 16 hours a day, going, well, this is crazy. I got to figure out something better and re-engineer my life.
And at the end of the day, it's your belief that you can do something different, right? Because a lot of the times is you could be doing that work, but you don't think that you can do more. So they kind of you're stuck in a situation, you're making the same amount of money. But in my case, it was more like I have a big personality. Like what I should be doing something different. I'm wasting it.
How
yeah,
do I
to
use
use it.
this?
So it worked out. I was lucky enough to have
Yeah.
the opportunity to even interview, and they took a chance on it.
Eric, yeah, I love that story, and I love seeing where you came from, as a temp, figuring it out, working hard, and starting your own business. It's super interesting. You had the
Mhm.
opportunity, but of all the people that I've interviewed over the years and I've seen successful, comes from many different backgrounds and many different ways of getting into business. It seems like everybody falls into staffing. It's like I have yet to meet somebody that says, you know what, I went to college and I decided that I was going to be a staffing
Yeah.
agency. It tends to attract people like yourself that do have big personalities, are authentic, connect with people because we're in the people business. We're in the business of solving challenges for people, whether it's me providing capital
Mhm.
for staffing or staffing agencies providing helping find staff to produce something or work through a service. It's all about that unique experience of connecting with people. So that's awesome that you were able to do that. How long ago was that? When did you get into the business working for
You
somebody
know what? At
else?
this point, it was somewhere around 2014, 2015. So that's kind of where I
Okay,
started. So now
great.
we're about to hit almost year 10, or if we're not in year 10 already, of you
Yeah,
know working in staffing, multiple companies,
yeah,
multiple positions, and learning the hard way, right? It's not just on-siting is
yeah.
completely different than working in the office and then overseeing a
Right.
branch, having to do payrolling, just everything as a whole. So it just
Yeah.
takes time.
And when you say on-site, just for our audience, I think most understand, but when you say on-site specifically, you're going into a distribution or a warehouse manufacturing facility, and you actually have your employee, or it used to be yourself, on the site of the customer and essentially managing a pool of
Yeah,
employees. Is
that's
that
exactly
correct?
what it is. That's why the term
Hmm.
is on-site, because you're specifically
Right.
at the site, so you're there. Yes.
Got it. You're managing those people, you're interviewing new people, you're revolving through the ones that need to leave and finding new business all the time. That's great. And that's why really you're in the region you're in, right? Because you're in La Puente. Tell us a little bit about that geographic area and why that's so appropriate for the type of warehousing
Well,
business
I'm
that you're in.
now officially I'm in Ontario. So I'm in Ontario. Yeah,
You're
like
in
La Puente is
Ontario
where I
now.
was
Okay.
recently
Got it.
working from, but right now
Uh-huh.
our operations, our base is
Okay.
over here in the Inland Empire.
All
Yeah.
in Ontario. Yep, all in Inland Empire. So talk to me about Inland Empire and kind of why is that geographically a perfect place for your
Well, as of
business?
right now, it has grown over the years, right? Over the last 10, 15 years,
Hmm.
there's a new addition of food production companies here. There's a lot of warehousing. And
Yeah.
speaking now as a business owner, it's a lot cheaper to run business on this side than it is
Yeah.
heading into LA County. I reside and I was
Sure.
born in Ontario. So it kind of works out
Got it.
perfectly staying within the area, being here, right? Close to home. So
Yeah.
this is where home
Nice.
and corporate, this is where I'm always gonna keep it. Most of the time
Yeah.
it just happens where they you open up a business and corporate heads into the OC area. That's where you start seeing everything.
Right.
Office space. But
Right.
um once the more we grow, I'm gonna keep the operations, the main corporate office within this area here. There's no point of
Got it.
digging deep in that area. There's a lot of people in this area too that work in the OC, and it's just too much of a drive.
Yeah.
So if you have an operation
Too
here,
much commute now. Yeah. No, I agree. No, it's beautiful. We finance a lot of companies in Ontario area. We love it. We see a lot of high growth there, so that's great to see, and it's good that you're there. So talk. So when did you start your own business? When did you make the decision of, hey, I'm not going to work for somebody else. I'm going to go into this for myself and hopefully create a little, financial security for you and your family. When did you make
well,
that
let me
leap?
start off with this. You don't get a financial security yet, so you're in the
No, not
progress.
yet.
You're in the progress. Everybody needs to understand you shouldn't get into this for the money,
Yeah,
because if you think about
that's
that,
right.
something's gonna happen and you lose it all. You got to do it because you love it.
Yeah,
But the
yeah.
idea of me wanting to do my own was probably in 2019, right before COVID. It was just a thought process of, hey,
Got it.
I do everything for this company. I can do it all myself. I do everything. The biggest difference is it's not under your name,
Yeah,
it's not under your company, but you handle everything:
right.
payrolling, hiring, interviewing, firing, just everything that you can think of that makes the business really kind of run. You really do, minus the fact of the funding portion of it, right? That you're not dealing with that.
Yeah,
You just go
yeah,
send out the hours and somebody pays the bill. So I just started.
You just go place the employees and you make sure you get my money to
Yeah,
pay the payroll. That's good. I agree. You just grow it. I'll give you as much
yeah.
money as I can.
Look,
It's my whole
as long as
business
the
model.
clients are good, right? You can everything will
Yeah,
be
that's
possible. You
right.
can get funding. You can get funding. But
Yeah,
the thought started
that's
in
right.
2019. I put together a logo.
Good.
I thought of a
Okay.
name, and then
Yep.
COVID happened.
Hmm.
Oh, when COVID
Right.
happened, it was more about job security rather than starting something new. We were
Yeah.
working a lot
Sure.
of hours. There was so much turnover everywhere across the
Hmm.
board, right? We were
Yeah.
working pretty much felt like 24/7
Yeah.
to recruit, retain. So
Hmm.
that process started there. My most recent job I was at, in that one there was a couple of hiccups. So the couple of hiccups brought up
Hmm.
the fact of, okay, you know what, there's certain stuff that is not under your control, and if it was under your control, you know
Yeah.
that you could fix. So that kind of really
Yeah.
kickstarted the idea back again, and I officially kicked it off at the beginning of
Got it.
this year. So the beginning of this year, we just started this year.
Nice. Yeah, you officially kicked off the beginning of this year. Super curious, not to be self-serving, but when you made a decision to get into business and you made a decision to find a payroll funder, what led you to the decision to join Meritus and allow Meritus to finance
Well,
your
you
company?
always go by what you know and what you're referred, correct? So I
Hmm.
was working. I have the luck of having a couple of friends that have their own staffing agencies as well too, right? So that gave me the opportunity. Like,
Okay.
look, it
Yeah.
can be done. You know people that can do it. That's another
Yeah.
reason why I ended up starting it.
Yeah.
When I was talking to them about the funding payroll, I actually really started digging deep. Okay, this is what I don't know. They taught me. They showed me who
Yeah.
they were working with. So they kind of gave me a couple of names to really work with. And because of
Yeah.
how the funding status works and you're starting new, a lot of them were offering a 90%. We couldn't go down that route. So
Hmm.
you sit back and you're like, okay, what do I do? Am I just going to Google? What am I going to do? Right? Like you just don't know where to find a funding company.
Sure.
And that's when LinkedIn was.
Hmm.
LinkedIn, I kept seeing
Got it.
posts. You have a great personality talking about exactly everything you were mentioning is what we need. Making the process simple. So
Nice.
that's where I was like, you know what? Let me try it out. At this point, it doesn't hurt to ask, hey, what's the process?
Uh,
We talked,
that's
and that's
great.
how we went through. So in our case, it was
Nice.
LinkedIn. It was the posting of the videos. It
Nice.
sticks in the back of your mind.
I love it.
It's there. You remember.
Well, it's something I try to do myself and my top two senior, sales executives. We try to just be transparent and out there. And we feel like when people learn who we are, by the time they come talk to us, they already have a good sense of, how we're going to treat them and what we're going to do for them. So I'm thrilled you chose us. Thank you for explaining that journey. Talk to me a little bit about how are you differentiating your services in specifically in your in Ontario. There's probably 100+ staffing agencies that you compete with in that geographic area. How do you differentiate your services and how are you
So
winning
as of right
business?
now, business is really all on relationships, right? It's really relationships, how you take care of your relationships and your communication. As of right now,
Hmm.
we are focused on communication, whether it's bad or good. Because we're seeing a lot
Yeah.
of agencies, and me working through it and seeing everybody. First of all, there's a lot of unlegitimate business happening right now, right? Especially in staffing,
Yeah.
low
Right.
rates, cutting
Right.
corners. We're not going to do that, but we're going to try to offer
Yeah.
the best rates as possible and communicate the risk on it. So communication on that part.
Good.
Once getting the business is also the
Yeah.
communication as to what we're seeing out,
Right.
what they realistically are trying to pay, and what the market is really detailed out there. So right now, it's
Hmm.
everything is basic on communication portion of it, because all
Yeah.
businesses run the same, right? They find
Yeah.
employees, put them out to work, but we do the same thing with employees as well too. We're honest with them, coming in, applying, seeing if we
Hmm.
can help them out. We let them know yes or no, compared to just apply and we'll get back to you later. So
Right.
that
So you on right when they come in, you try to guide them as to whether or not their skills are usable and hireable, and you kind of just you give them that
very
feedback very
quickly, very
quickly.
quickly. If we can't help them
That's great.
from our 5, 10,
Yeah.
15 minute interview that we have, We let them know right off the bat
Yep.
instead of having them do the full
I like
application,
that.
because that's what happens. We see a lot of
Ah,
people coming
nice.
in and they've applied to 7, 8 different agencies.
Hmm.
Nobody is calling them back. We're curious,
Interesting.
why aren't they getting called back? Once we start talking to them, we're like, okay, you haven't really worked in the last year. We specifically for our client, right? We need them
Right.
to be actively engaged, working for.
Not the right skill set, and you give them that feedback. That's, I find that that's a genuine thing to do. Give people immediate, quick feedback. Don't hang them out for a long time to try to figure out if they're going to be employable or not. And it allows people to also change and adapt and learn new skills so that they can be, employable for a specific task. So I appreciate that. I think that's a great way of doing it. So you've been in business for about 7 months now on your own company. What would you say are the top two lessons that you've learned in the first 7 months of business? Maybe something that you didn't expect. Anything come to mind of lessons you've learned in the first 7 months?
Lessons that you learn. Don't. The number one is don't focus on something that hasn't came about yet, an issue that hasn't popped in yet, right? Because you you kind of have to learn as you go. You do whatever everything is possible to be yourself legitimate. Get yourself insurances. Get yourself the systems. Get yourself a good support system. Get yourself financing. Once you kind of do that, you can't think of what might go wrong because you're gonna go crazy. You're overseeing way too much, and you don't realize how much you're overseeing until it starts to grow. So number one is handle the issues as they come, right? 100% handle issues as they come. And then second is as soon as you start to see something give, right? Because you're trying to run lean. If you start to see something give, which is your stress is at home, you're bringing it home, right? Or you're not doing something with the client, staying on top of a communication. You're not treating the employees as you normally would. So when something starts to give, that means that you need to actually bring somebody on board to help you with that. You need to start. Don't be
Yeah.
afraid to
Delegate. God, you have to
delegate. Don't
delegate.
not
Yep.
be afraid to whatever money you are receiving, putting it back into the business by hiring
Hmm.
somebody else.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's good. And that's been helping you grow. So what's your goals then for the next couple of years? Where do you want to take your business?
Well, the ultimate goal is that I want to have time, right? Freedom. I just had my
Hmm.
first son.
Yeah.
First, yeah, first,
Ah,
yeah. Thank you.
congratulations! Excellent. Nothing better than having your
Yes,
babies.
and it makes you realize, yes, you can work and do everything, but if you can't spend time with them, right, and help them grow,
Yeah.
then what's the point of everything, right? So my ultimate,
Yeah. My advice is choose quality of life over money every time.
every single time. I'm lucky to have a brother that's he's always been good with his money and finances, and he's taught me the
Hmm.
fact that
Yeah.
it doesn't really matter what you own, is kind of what you have at home, and that one always
Yeah.
settles in for the reason that doesn't matter the car, doesn't matter anything like that. If you just have a good household, you're always going to be happy, and everybody sees happiness
Yeah.
different,
Good.
right? But I see
Yeah.
myself happiness is going
Agreed.
to be a thriving business, right? That can run on its own when I need to
Yeah.
step away for a week, 2 weeks,
That's
having the
right.
right staff and making sure they're happy as well too. So that's the goal. That would be my goal, I guess, years down the line. But
Financial independence, work the right amount, but have stability and relationship at home, and raise your son. I love that. I think that's great, and I think you can get there. I know
yeah,
you can get there if you stay committed to
yeah.
that. Stay committed to that, and still have a thriving business where you can
Yeah,
make
yeah,
really
and
good
that's
money.
and going back to where I want the business to be. Right now, in 5 years down the line, I would love to have at least 2 to 3 thriving offices right within the area that you can still
Okay.
manage.
Yep.
That would be the goal.
Right.
My billing, right at that point,
Hmm.
would love to see the millions of billing right on the
Yeah.
weekly
Yeah.
basis. But 5 years down the line, that's the goal. Right now, we're focusing on the
You can get there.
yeah,
You're
I
gonna do it.
definitely will.
You're
Right
gonna
now, at the
you're gonna
time
do it.
being, we're
Yeah.
focused on this year and making sure everything is running great,
Yeah.
and we're growing on
Good.
a pretty much on a week to week or month to month basis at least.
Yeah, that's great. Super exciting to see, and it's that commitment to being a genuine person and attracting good quality staff internally that are genuine and just focused on delivering to the clients and That's what I've seen in my years of financing staffing agencies. The companies that succeed are the ones that don't get too ahead of themselves, don't get too, don't cut corners looking at the, shiny car, and all of a sudden they decide to maybe not do things the right way. I always talk to my partners when I show up to a staffing agency. If I show up to a staffing agency and the staffing owner is driving a really, really shiny, fancy new car, I always wonder, well, are they paying their taxes and their workers' comp, right? Because this is a low margin business. You got to make it's hard work. You can make good money, but if you don't cut corners and you do things right, well, you're going to have a nice lifestyle. But don't get too far ahead and start cutting corners. So I'm a big believer in your success, Eric. We at Meritus are supporting you all the way. I hope we're talking in the next 1 year, 3 years, 5 years, and 7 years, because the reality is most of my clients have been with us for many, many years, and we love to see growth through all the different challenges and the things that come. But that's exciting, and we're happy to be part of that ride. So we're thrilled that you've come on. We're thrilled that you made the decision to get into your business for yourself. And I think that's great. Being able to commit to saying, "Listen, I can do this for myself," is really wonderful. So we're super happy to see that. And what we'll have to do is we'll have to re-record this in the next year, and then a year later, and then look back and say, "Okay, where are you at? Have you made your goals?" So I like the idea of 3 offices. And did you say 3 years or 5 years?
Well, 3 offices I think can be done in 3 years, but realistically,
I think you can
realistically,
too.
the way this business works is that if you're around the
Yeah,
right people, and sometimes it falls in your lap. But
that's right.
at this point, I wouldn't doubt that
Yeah,
3 offices is possible next year. But I'm not. I rather take care
yeah,
of my backyard, take care of the house.
that's right.
The problems I see with some
Yeah,
agencies, they grow too fast, right? They're like, oh, I'm gonna take this
yeah, I
account
agree.
over here in LA, and I'm gonna do this one over here in Moreno Valley,
Yeah.
and now they don't give good service because they're
Don't sacrifice
exactly,
quality.
exactly.
No, don't sacrifice quality in your services or your quality of life. So excellent. Well, it's been great talking to you today, Eric, on the Growth Game podcast. You are definitely in your first year of figuring out everything it takes to grow, and we're going to look forward to keeping track of your success down the years, and see you and your family
Yeah,
grow as
most
well.
yeah.
So super, super appreciate it. We thank you very much for coming on today, and that's a wrap. Let's stay and closely connected. Thanks so much for your time and energy, and we look forward to being able to stay connected over the
Perfect,
years, my
perfect.
friend.
We'll set something up for next year. We'll see how far I've come, how far I've grown in that.
Sounds
All
great.
right.
Let's do it.
Thank you, Paul.
Thanks, Eric. All right,
Thank
have
you.
a great one. We appreciate it so much.